Greetings, taxers. This is Jason Simard, your authority on death and taxes in modern, and this is the DnT Report. Today we're going to talk about a few lists that did 5 and O's. Not as many as before. I don't know if the format's getting more hostile or if people are not playing as much taxes these days, but we're not seeing as many results. But looking at the Mythic Championship Barcelona, where obviously the Hogak is the big story. Only one of them made it into top 8, and I mean, another way to think about it is one of them still made top 8 when Leyline of the Void was by far the most played card in 75s. Second place being Faithless Looting, and then I don't even know, Thoughtseize I think was third after that. We're talking like 700 Leylines versus like 500 Faithless Lootings, just to give you an indication. A lot of ley lines were played, and a lot of Hogak decks still did very well. Here you could see with 9 wins was Is It Phoenix? Because it's a modern, like the Mythic Championship is a not half, but some limited and some modern, which I don't know, I think that's unfortunate. To be honest, I think but Mythic Championships shouldn't be modern. Watching that, I mean, it was just so disappointing when I turned it in and it was the draft portion, and it's like, just not interested in that, Like, I would like to watch modern, and even watching these guys play, like, they're very good Magic players, but you could just tell these aren't their decks. Like, these aren't, like, modern players' decks. Like, modern guys know their decks so well. But it is what it is. Like, I mean, there was some good caliber play, so it was nice to see that. It's always nice to watch a nice big modern tournament unfold. So yeah, here we can see with 8 wins though. I think it's about 9 Hogak decks out of the 20 top performing decks. That's a lot of them, and you think about all those ley lines that are in people's decks, and then even Hogak's in a couple of these dredge decks too. Like, that's 3 copies of Hogak in these decks, I believe. So I mean, it's a little more even when you get down to 7 wins, but there's still twice as many Hogak decks as other decks putting in these numbers, which I guess that makes more sense. It's really just this lopsided top bit. Had this tournament been all with no draft portion, like, you might have seen very different results. Like, a lot of these guys, I don't know, I don't remember everybody's name who made the top 8, but I mean, I see a lot of these pros who did not make top 8 in here that I do recognize. So take that as you will. I mean, I'm thinking you're gonna need rest of pieces or ley lines in high order. I mean, last DnT report I was talking about how people were starting to skimp on their sideboard a bit because it seemed like Hogak wasn't as consistent. But I put it together, and I've been gold fishing it, and it's amazing how many times you can put together like just such a big board, even on your dirtily draws. Like, you just I only have like 6 or 7 power on turn 2. Like, this is really poor. So I don't know what the solution is necessarily, but I do know that that's a lot of Hogak, and people were very prepared for it, and you're still seeing it just dominate. So had it all been draft, I have a feeling, had it been no draft at this tournament, I have a feeling Hogak would have crowded out that top 8 a lot worse. So Wizards has bought themselves some time, luckily, for them, that it doesn't make their band look terrible by the top 8 being dominated by Hogak. But I mean, I don't know, these numbers speak for themselves, I think, here. So on to the MTGO Challenge from July 20th there. We have in 6th place Spider Space. But if you look at this top 8 here, it's like nice and varied. It is a lot like, it kind of foreshadowed the Pro Tour a bit here. Mono Green Tron did very good again. So Mono Green Tron is for real again. And this is the old school version, like almost no Modern Horizon cards whatsoever. So be on the lookout. They're going to be, don't cheat on your land kill cards, and because it's around. So Thalia Stompy though, with Spider Space, this is who really innovated this deck, I believe, in the beginning, who created it. So it's always nice to see some success for him. Very few changes, but a couple here. So if you've been watching this is like I did. If you want to see this deck in action, my volume 1 of gameplay, you can go back and watch that. It's all in one video. The audio's out of sync. Sorry, I'm just learning how to use all these videos. But with 5-0 with it, so make some mistakes. The deck carried us, definitely. But achieved the 5-0 with it because it's a strong deck. I really like it. In fact, I'm going to be playing a version like this, I think, at my big tournaments next month. There's a big Fusion 5K, and I'll be playing something very similar to this. And I'm really liking some of these innovations here, like these 2 Cavernous Souls. I might even play more of these after trying them out. Like, they're so good in this deck because it's all humans, except for Eldrazi's, which Cavern, even if you choose humans, you can still cast Eldrazi's with it. and the Simian Spirit Guides, which you rarely cast, and one Revoker for him, which it makes colorless still. So it's only the Arbiters that you can't cast with it, actually, with the Cavern. So I mean, I'm really enjoying them when I'm looking, because I like blue-white in Winnipeg here. There's like, I play blue-white every time I play in a big tournament for sure, and it's always around. And on Saturday at game night, there was a tournament there, and blue-white was like, there was 3 out of 20 guys playing blue-white. So control is very popular in my city. So it just sucks when they counter your Eldrazi and stuff. So I mean, like having your spells be countered, like, and also too, it allows you to cut down on a bit of these pain lands. Like he cut down on 2 Battlefield Forges here. So he's playing 4 Canyons and 4. He used to play 4 Forges instead. Is 2 Caverns. Now that's less damage you're taking against these like fast red decks. Like I'm even thinking I might cut down on some of these Sunbakes, because I'm thinking of like there's lots of mono red stuff in my city. Like there's a lot of very aggressive decks, and in my last tournament, some of my only losses were to like they were so close, and I took damage from my damage lands, and they got me for Xaxes, and like I had to take too many damage. Like I'm talking like 4 or 5 in a game, just casting my spells. When you get a double Sunbake Canyon hand, it's like oh, but but Spider Space finds lots of success, so don't just take my word for it here. But I really like the Sunbake Canyon idea. This or Caverns Souls, excuse me. I really enjoy that a lot. I thought that was very good. Sideboard, oh yeah. So one Winds of Abandon, 3 Dismembers, and a Phyrexian Revoker in the main. And I mean, I guess like against Hogak and against Control, like Hogak, you can name their Carrion Feeder. You can't name lands with it though, so you can't get their fetches ever. But Blue-White Control, being able to name all their Planeswalkers is nice. I don't really like the Revoker too much myself, though. I've always find it kind of iffy. Like, you're kind of shooting in the dark unless they've already got something out that they've done something with. So, if anything, I actually prefer Sorcerer Spyglass, just simply because you get to look at their hand and make the correct choice. And it being able to turn off lands ability is very, very helpful sometimes. But, still on 2 Worships, 3 Honor Guards, 3 Rest in Pieces. See, I mean, I think I'd be playing 4 these days. Like I don't think the Hogak's a great matchup for this deck. It's I think it's winnable. Chalice for the Void on 1 is very good against them, but a lot of times they're going to just have it going on. I think Rest in Peace is very good at thwarting that. 2 Stony Silences, 2 Wear and Tears, 2 Karns. I'm not sure I'm into this, but Planeswalkers can be powerful out of the board. They're hard to deal with, and so. That's that. Like I said, there's not too many decks achieving 5-0s in the last week or two on online, so it's nice to see that. Here we have Black-White Taxes from Modern League. There was 0, neither Taxes decks, no version at all made 5-0s on July 26th data dump of these lists, so I mean that was a surprise. So this is from the 23rd, I believe. And so Black-White here, it's a pretty standard version now, I think. This is almost like cemented, I think, these days. Because now that the Givers have come in to the deck, like there's very, very few flex spots and very few deviations from the flex spots. Maybe I'm used to seeing a little more Silent Clearings and no Shambling Vents, but that's about it for that. In the sideboard, the Gideon, the 2 Core Firewalkers, these days I'm really thinking that these things are a good idea. So good against those red decks right now. Nobody's playing the thing that stopped Skullcracks, or not, certainly not nearly as many. They used to be playing 4 in the main deck, I think, and now they're very rare to see. Only 3 Rest in Pieces still, so I'm not sure if these. Oh, jeez. I'm not sure if these decks just have good game against these Hogaks, or they just weren't expecting them when because the 23rd, this deck wasn't. That's 5 days ago now, so I mean, Hogak really only exploded like last week to do really well again. 2 Kambals, 2 Plague Engineers. I really like these guys a lot. They seem very, very strong. 2 Revoke, like very nice to even be able to side them in against Control, where you need to side out your removal. You can name Wizard, and like their Snapcasters, if they side in Vendilion Gleeks, all just die when this guy's out, and it doesn't just get stuck in your hand as a removal spell the whole game, waiting for some action like a Path to Exile does. So these things are pretty cool. A couple Revoke Existences. Everyone knows I love that card. So, so congrats, Milliken, on your 5-0. Wafald, once again, with the Eternal Scourge version of the same deck of the same Eldrazi taxes. So these decks are having far more success, but it is mostly Wafald and Spider Space getting these 5-0s. So that's, maybe they're just amazing pilots, or there's something to the deck and it's just not that played by too many people. So two Gemstone Caverns, which I think that's where I'm more comfortable. I only play two in this deck because they're great. Like, they are game changers on the draw. Like, I saw even the Goblin Engineer Urza deck, Grixis Urza. They're even playing a Gemstone Caverns in that one, the guy who made top 8, because it's like, if you can make the colorless mana work in your deck, it's definitely worth it to play it, because getting that jump in game 2, it's like you can win games you had no chance of winning. So, I mean, it's actually one of the more game-changing cards that there is for game 2s, because starting with your land out allows you to have a footing for when your opponent comes out blazing. So, we're seeing a very different set of lands in this deck than the other one. 4 temples, though. Scavenger Grounds and Sheffet Dunes. I don't believe Spider Space was playing either of these. So here, so instead of, Wafald has, 2 Sunbakes. Only 2 Sunbakes, but Sheffet Dunes, Scavenger Grounds. Yeah, so it's like you got a lot of options in these decks. The Eternal Scourges are very interesting with the Caverns and Serum Powders. You're able to just exile them, looking for a good hand when you're mulliganing and having access to these extra guys. I think that's pretty fun and very neat. Just cut on Athalia. So I mean, a few less creatures in this. Like, with the Spirit guys, there's only 20 creatures in this deck, though. That's something that seems like a low creature count, but I guess these Scourges are eternal with these Rest in Pieces in the main. Surprising to see 2 Banishing Lights and an O-Ring in the main, but you know what? Like, and no Dismember. So I mean, that's just a totally different way to go with it. But I was finding I was losing a lot to the damage to myself, so a lot of my games that I have lost, but I've won a lot of games with that other version too, so something to think about in these versions. So, and lastly, we're going to talk about a really cool, it's a mono white deck. It's not a tax deck, but I thought that was pretty fun. 4 Anafenzas, 4 Kitchen Finks, 4 Lesser Masticores, 4 Safehold Elites, and 4 Thravens for creatures. So the Anafenza with the Kitchen Finks means that anytime you sack this thing, it'll come back in, persist, we'll bring it back, and with Anafenza, the +1/+1 and the -1/-1 counters will cancel each other out, so Kitchen Finks can just keep coming back anytime it dies. You're going to use that in combination with Altar of Dementia or a Blasting Station to keep sacrificing the Kitchen Finks to have one of those 2 effects, either dealing damage to something or milling somebody. And with the Finks, you gain infinite life while you do all that. With the Masticore, you just simply get the effect of these sack outlets, the Elite also. And then Solemnity is another Anafenza. So it's pretty neat because with this deck, like, people could be having creature removal, but you just set up for it with Altar into Solemnity, and then you just drop like a Safehold Elite and blast away their deck. Or I would think Scout's Warning, I think the card's called. It's 1 white where you draw a card immediately. It's an instant. Then the next card you play, the creature you play as Flash. Might be more interesting. I was trying these a little bit out when I was goldfishing with this deck. I think those could be more interesting maybe than these guys. These guys felt a little slow. It's nice to have that consistency for drawing a card, but the Scout's Warning also allows you to play the things at instant speed, so you could have a couple of the combo pieces out and then just say go, and then when they tap out to Fact or Fiction or whatever, you kill them in response. Couple Face Shields. I wasn't really liking these when I was trying it, but maybe you need them to do this, and I wasn't playing any real games with it yet. Path Exiles, with all these planes in this deck, I was actually thinking, what is it? On Thin Ice is actually better for this, especially because, ramping them while you're just trying to get to your combo's not particularly fast. Like, that seems really dangerous to me. On Thin Ice, even though they might be able to deal with it, they're going to spend time doing that, and that's going to buy you time to get your combo off. So I thought this is pretty budget. If you guys would like to see this together, let me know in the comments, because I would throw it together and go through a league with it, because it looks fun. Maybe I'd change a few things about it. But it looks like a pretty fun deck, and nice and budgety, pretty budget friendly. So that's what's going down in Modern. Like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to make them pay.